Today I fucked up by keeping my deodorant in the kitchen. So a month or two ago I opened a new stick of deodorant at the kitchen counter. It has lived there ever since. It's honestly a pretty convenient spot for it since I always forget deodorant until I'm about to go out. Today I got home from work and decided to make a sandwich. I assembled my goat cheese and prosciutto and proceed. There's a few stray chunks of cheese so I toss them on so they don't get lonely. I start eating and when I'm almost done I'm hit with this sour, floury detergent taste. Like a Tide Pod nut in my mouth. My tongue spasms in confusion. Turns out one or more of those chunks was not cheese and in fact an anti-stank nugget. I instantly go to the poison control website and try to guess what kind of cancer I will develop. Still ate the rest of the sandwich though. Goat cheese is fucking expensive. I ain't wasting that shit over a little bit of armpit jelly. Too long didn't read. I thought a piece of deodorant was cheese and ate it. Time to switch to spray deodorant. I hope you don't think it's cooking spray. Goat cheese is amazing. Agreed, it is the best cheese. Just a little extra flavor. I have gotten deodorant in my mouth several times in my life and each time I have to sit there in silent shame to think about why I keep letting this happen. Ever used that anti-ant product that looks like coffee sugar? It wasn't a good idea to present it in a bowl placed near the kettle. Brother-in-law figured it out halfway through his coffee. The tube of KY jelly is the same size as a tube of toothpaste. Found out the hard way in the hotel after I dug it out of my toilet bag in a hurry. Today I fucked up by listening to my friend and making my parents look like racists. Yeah. Obligatory. This didn't happen today but when I was 10 and my best friend was 8. My neighbor and I grew up together and were very close despite the 2-year age difference. We practically lived outside, our backyard gates and driveways were right beside each other, so we just floated between our two homes all summer long, often while our parents were inside or doing work around the yard. We loved playing every imaginary game you could think of. Let's Pretend was, like many other kids, our catchphrase. I guess at some point my friend had watched or been exposed to some heavy World War II information, but didn't totally understand it. Her dad was in the military at some point, so I think even though she was younger than me, she knew a lot more about certain aspects of history than I did. I only knew vague information about the wars at this age. Anyway, she decided that we should play soldiers and I thought that would be a fun new imaginary world we had yet to dive into. We pull out our sidewalk chalk and begin creating an elaborate military base on my driveway. She then starts drawing huge swastikas all over my driveway. What's that? I asked. It's a military symbol, she said. I shrugged my shoulders and continue drawing whatever the heck I was working on in the corner of my driveway. I then draw a bunch more military symbols all over the driveway, garage, and bricks of the house. For approximately the next hour, my house is covered in hate symbols before, thank goodness, my dad comes outside, freaks out, rips the hose out of the garage as quickly as he can, and washes away our military base. We then get quite the long lesson on World War II, that I probably should have been taught prior to this. Too long didn't read. Best friend draws military symbols all over my driveway and nearly gives my dad a heart attack. Classic child draws swastika mix-up. A tale as old as time. I have a German friend. When he and his family were over to stay, my eldest, who was rather precocious, used to read things I wouldn't have given him, and had read mouse because of the pictures, was sat in the corner drawing. "Look, Hans, I've drawn Mr. Hitler's flag," said he. And so he had, the little shit. Fortunately my friend has a sense of humor. I invented the swastika when I was in 1st or 2nd grade. I was doodling and decided to make symmetrical designs. Well, I drew a plus sign, then added some outer lines. I was like, that's neat looking, so I showed my mother my cool picture. Looking back, she handled it well, with a brief explanation of Nazi Germany and why we don't draw that symbol, but it sure wasn't the reaction I expected. Or, it sounds like your mom handled it well. After my dad's initial freak-out hose down of what seemed like the entire front of our house, he also gave us a calm explanation. I think he also handled it pretty well. I made a 69 joke to my dad when I was like 8 and he was not having any of it. I wrote him Foxy Cleopatra and him a whole lot of Woman from Austin Powers on my MSN when I was like 9 and my dad saw it and got mad and I was so embarrassed. Lol. Dude, I did a similar thing once. I was probably 9 and I drew the Illuminati symbol, IFK, which was a swastika on a post-it note and started wearing it to show my dad. He promptly shut it down and I learned a lot. Today I fucked up by taking an at-home DNA test. To set the stage, I, 27M, have always wanted to do one of those DNA tests that break down your ancestry just to see how white I know I am. 99.4% European, but a man can dream of having something cool. Another motivator was that my dad had always told me we were related to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, and with my disposable grown-up funds I finally decided to indulge my curiosity. My mom and dad split when I was 1, relevant in a few paragraphs, so I told both parties about my purchase about a week apart, but there was a stark contrast between their responses. My dad marveled at how far along science had come and even expressed interest in doing his own test with me, but my mother was a very different story. She urged me to cancel my order and request a refund. This isn't too far from expected for her. She's a very financially conscious person and said that I shouldn't waste my money on something silly like a DNA test. When she realized I wouldn't be requesting a refund, she tried to connect me to a distant family cousin who had done extensive genealogy work, but as I told her, my main point of curiosity had to do with my father's family, so that cousin wouldn't really help me out. Already her actions were piling up as odd, but what really made me suspicious was when she demanded this week that I take her out, just the two of us, for Mother's Day. Usually, my mother is respectful of my boundaries because as a school teacher with after-work responsibilities, free time is hard to come by. Even weirder, I go see my mother usually once a week, so she knew I was planning on coming by on the weekend to participate in celebrating her with my sibling. But thinking she was acting odd, I indulged her, and we scheduled dinner on the 7th. Over poorly made Italian food at a chain restaurant. My mother shook me to my core. She admitted that she wasn't sure that my legal father was in fact my biological father. Sure enough, when my results came in today, the names along my virtual family tree were all expected results on my mother's side. I saw cousins, aunts, and uncles who all had used the same DNA service that I had. On my legal father's side, however, I saw names I recognized, just not my family as I had known it. I met with my legal father to tell him the news hours after I read them myself and immediately had my worst fear averted. The saint that is my father has assured me that our relationship won't change because of these results, but I only felt it was right that he should know. This man has paid child support, invested his efforts and time, and worked multiple jobs at a time to afford me the best life he could, and biologically I'm not even his. The real twist in our story is who my biological father is. Now, I haven't subjected the man to a paternity test, but at this point I'm fairly sure I know who it is. My mother swears only one other man could be my biological father, my legal dad's old best friend. Even after my parents split, my legal dad and biological dad stayed in close contact. I grew up with this other guy's daughters, my apparent half-sisters, and wife as close family friends. Shoot, I even went to their family gatherings sometimes. It's through this close proximity that I am confident of my biological father's identity, because it's his relatives that are popping up on my DNA results virtual family tree. I'm now faced with a quandary related to whether I reach out to my apparent biological father or let sleeping dogs lie. On one hand, the only people that know are my mother, legal father, myself, and now you find people of Reddit. On the other hand, I would hate for one of his daughters to take the same test as I have and ping me as a relative. My biological dad has been married for 26 years and has all of his stuff together, so now I have to decide if I am going to rock his work as hard as mine has been. Too long didn't read, took an at-home DNA test and discovered my legal father isn't my biological father. Mate, he probably already has a good idea. He slept with your mum at the right time, after all. Fun family anecdote has always been that he rubbed off on me because we share a cleft chin. Makes sense now. this neat info. I'm glad your legal dad was so nonchalant about it. Which DNA test did you take? I used 23andMe. Overall, great experience and love their app. I can't tell you what you should do, but I will tell you what I would do if I were in this position. I would tell my bio dad. A lot of those DNA kits will keep people updated as more people are added to their family tree, so it's possible that even those relatives of his that have already taken the tests will find out soon enough. I'd rather he find out directly from me than from a cousin. That's just my 2 cents. I found my father was other than who I believed and that I had a half-brother. The father I found lives close and expected a lot from me, leaving me regretting the test. Sometimes things are best left a mystery. Hope things work out better for you. This is not you today, I fucked up. It's your mom's. Worst is she totally knew. Sorry, that's kind of shitty. Glad your dad is still your dad though. Yeah, me and mom aren't on best terms right now for sure. Still trying to find the humor in it though, hence my post today.